Now, last year, I reviewed one of my favorite laptops that was really geared towards the creator. Yes, it's the HP NV15, one of my favorite laptops from last year. You could do video editing on it. It had a really nice 15.6-inch AMOLED display, bright, sharp, very nice. But I couldn't wait for the follow-up this year with 11th gen processors from Intel. The good news is I just took delivery of it, and I've been putting it through its paces ever since. My unit has the Core i7 11800H, an 8-core, 16-thread processor. It's got the RTX 3050 GPU, but you could also get it with a 3060. And by the way, you could also get it with a Core i9 as well. I don't think you need to do that. We'll get into that and more in this video. Let's find out if it all comes together to make this a definite winner here for 2021. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the HP NV15 here for 2021. Coming up. Now, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by HP. I'm not being sponsored by HP. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. HP is not getting copy approval. Now, this unit was purchased with my own money. I did not receive a review unit from HP. Pricing for the NV15 starts at $1449.99. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. Now, the unit I decided to go with has the Core i7 11800H. That's an 8-core, 16-thread processor. It's got the RTX 3050 GPU. Now, I would have gone for the 3060 GPU, but it wasn't available when I did order this. But I'm actually glad I am checking out the 3050 because I know a lot of you will actually go for that one, save a few bucks. And I am pretty surprised on just how well it has performed. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Now, this particular unit, as configured, is $1,869.99, and that's actually a pretty good deal considering the Dell XPS 15 9510 that I recently took a look at has a much higher price tag, but you get a lot of good performance out of this, as I will show you in this video. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now, this is the typical packaging we normally see with the NV line, nothing special here. Lifting the lid, you're greeted by some setup instructions and some warranty information as well. And just as we had with last year's model, you get a 200-watt power adapter. It uses a barrel pin connector. One thing to note, just like last year's model, this does not have USB-C charging. A bit of a miss once again. Holding the unit for the first time, the first thing I'm noticing is just how nice that premium build is. It's an all-metal design, and just like last year's model, this comes in at a very similar weight. This is 4.81 pounds or 2.18 kilograms, just a little bit higher than last year's model, which came in at 4.74 pounds. That little extra weight is not going to make a big difference, and it is definitely worth it because you get a lot more power under the hood, as I will show you very soon. Okay, let's check out the port selection. Let's start off on the left side where you get your power port, a USB-A port, an HDMI 2.0 port, 2 USB-C ports. Now, these are not Thunderbolt 4 ports, which is a big surprise to me, and they are not full service, meaning you cannot charge this laptop using any one of those 2 ports. You'll have to use the supplied 200-watt barrel pin connector adapter included in the box. And what's even more interesting was that last year, despite it not supporting charging, it was still Thunderbolt 3 at the end of the day. Here, we don't get that. They decided, well, it's not even worth it to put Thunderbolt on this. Let's just go with those 2 USB-C ports, and that's what they did. And you also get a micro SD card reader to round out the ports on the left side. Would have been nice to have a full-size SD card reader, but I'll take that micro SD card. It's better than nothing. Now, moving over to the right side, you get a heat vent and a second USB-A port, and finally your 3.5mm headset jack. All right, let's talk about user upgradeability, and the good news is HP made it easy to get inside this laptop. No need to remove any strips or anything like that. All you need to do is remove the 5 T5 Torx screws, pop off the bottom plate, and you're in. It's that easy. And the good news is there is some stuff here to upgrade. Let's get into it now. Now, the one thing you'll notice right away is the 2 SODIMM slots. That means you can upgrade the RAM yourself. Now, I configured my unit with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 RAM. And the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, it is the X8 RAM. That means that's the faster variant as opposed to the X16 that you find on the Dell XPS 15. So that's a really big win as far as I'm concerned. And it's something I'm happy to see because that means you'll get a few extra frames per second and you'll see a little bit of a boost in terms of performance. And when it comes to the SSDs, more good news. You get 2 M.2 2280 slots, one taken up with the 1 terabyte that I have. We'll get into that in a moment. And a second slot for you to add additional storage. That's always great. Nice option to have. Now, as far as that included 1 terabyte SSD, check this out. 5,172.75 as a write. That's probably the fastest write score I've ever seen on the Crystal Disk Mark test. Kudos to HP, kudos to using really fast SSD storage. Now this has Wi-Fi 6 along with a Bluetooth 5 combo, and all is working well, both the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth working as advertised. Now the thing you want to know about this, it's soldered into the motherboard. That means you cannot upgrade it down the road. Something to keep in mind, but so far working really well. Now while we're inside, you'll notice the 2 fans for cooling. And just like last year's model, you get vapor chamber cooling. And that's a really nice added bonus for this laptop, especially since you're not paying top dollar like you are with the Dell XPS 15, which doesn't even have vapor chamber cooling. The XPS 17 does. So that's a nice premium feature to find on a laptop, and I'm glad it's here. All right, let's talk about the display. And what we're looking at here is a 15.6-inch 4K UHD AMOLED display. Yes, this is an AMOLED display with its really deep blacks, the very vibrant colors, the high contrast. Everything we expect with an AMOLED display is here, just like last year. Now, they do claim that this will get up to 400 nits in terms of brightness. I actually measured close to that, 387 nits, making it good for both indoor and outdoor use. But keep in mind, this is a glossy display. You will notice some glare and reflections in certain lighting conditions. Just something to be aware of. Now, as far as the black levels, very good black levels. In fact, it's excellent, of course, as we would expect on an AMOLED display. The really high contrast, as you see here. And it also has a pretty low Delta E score of 1.99, making it a pretty color-accurate display. And it's a laptop that creators will gravitate towards because it covers the color gamut really well. 100% sRGB, 95% Adobe RGB, 93% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 90% NTSC makes this an excellent choice for content creators who do Lightroom, Photoshop, color grading, and of course, video editing. And it's also an HDR display. Watching high dynamic range content on it has been great. Now, one thing to note, this is a multi-touch display, and I thought it was very responsive. Using your fingers to navigate through the OS worked well, pinch to zoom worked well, and I thought it was really responsive, and I have no complaints on that front, that's for sure. So this is the front-facing camera on the HP Envy 15 here for 2021, a 720p, 30 frames per second webcam. Now, one thing to note, this is not an infrared webcam. That means you cannot log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. There is a fingerprint scanner located within the keyboard that will allow you to log in with Windows Hello, of course, but no infrared camera. So again, no face recognition. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the internal mics? I am curious to know. Now, there's no physical shutter switch on the camera itself. There is a key on the keyboard, though, that will allow you to turn off the camera, giving you more security and privacy. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. Now, as far as the keyboard itself is concerned, like last year, I am a big fan of this keyboard. I like the tactile feedback, I like the key travel, and I found it very comfortable to type on for extended periods of time. It also has a multi-stage backlight that allows you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. But one thing to keep in mind, it's a white backlight against these silver keys, sometimes hard to differentiate or to see the contrast between the two. Again, something to keep in mind. And it has a glass precision touchpad that I thought was super responsive. Two-finger scrolling was buttery smooth, and all the gestures work as you'd expect. Now, those two grills on each side of the keyboard are unfortunately not speaker grills. They're air vents, and they actually do work very well. We'll talk more about the thermals in the upcoming full review. But having said that, there are two bottom-firing speakers. They're dual speakers, of course, and they do get pretty loud. They're Bang & Olufsen tuned speakers that have decent mids, good bass, I would say, and it does fill up a room rather nicely. I'll get more into that as well in that full review. Now, you can get the NV15 with up to a Core i9-11900H. That's the top of the line, of course. I don't think you need to spend the extra money. You don't need the extra heat that it'll bring. Get the Core i7 like I did. It's the Core i7 11800H, 8 cores, 16 threads. I also have 32 gigabytes of RAM on my unit, and you can see from those results from these initial benchmarks, excellent performance. The RTX 3050 has certainly surpassed my expectations. I was certainly wanting the 3060 when I initially tried to get it. It wasn't available, so I went with the 3050, and as you can see from these numbers, very impressive indeed. We'll get more into that very soon, but this is a very big improvement year over year over last year's 10th gen model, which had the Intel 10th gen processor. This is much better. And because I can't get over how fast those write speeds are, let's look at it one more time. Okay, people, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the HP NV15 here for 2021? Less than 48 hours in, I am loving this performance boost over last year's model. It is significant, and that alone makes this a worthy choice so far. But of course, I still need to do my further testing. Now, the 4K UHD AMOLED display, pretty much unchanged from last year. It is still excellent. Love the fact that this has 2 SODIMM slots, 2 M.2 2280 slots to upgrade the storage. And speaking of that storage, blazingly fast reads and writes. Excellent in that department. Fast graphics, strong performance. The electronic webcam shutter is nice. I like the sleek and sturdy metal build and the plenty of ports and connections that it has. Now, the negatives here, no Thunderbolt 4, no USB-C charging, no IR camera, and I would say average battery life. I got in my initial test a little over 7 hours on my continuous web surfing test. So you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 7 hours, I would say, depending on what you're doing. I'll give you my full results in my upcoming full review. I've got a lot more testing coming up. I'll test the thermals, performance, the battery life. I'll bring you all that, and especially the gaming performance. That's coming as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss anything. So what do you think about this bad boy, the NV15? Beautiful all-metal design, very rock solid, nice and sturdy, really nice looking laptop. I really like the angles on it, and I really think this gives it a nice, sleek, and modern look. At 4.81 pounds, or 2.18 kilograms, a tad heavier than last year, but that's because this has a nice beefier GPU, much better performance year over year, improvement as I showed you in the numbers. Core i7 11800H, really nice with 32 gigabytes of RAM, very fast SSD as you saw from the numbers, really incredible write speeds on that. I'm very impressed with it. So very speedy, very nice. Now the fans do kick in under heavy load. It gets a little loud. We'll talk more about that very soon. We'll talk about the thermals and that the solution they employed here, very interesting. It has the vapor chamber cooling, as I mentioned. It also has an 83 watt hour battery, and that battery lasted about 7 hours on my continuous web surfing test. So you're looking at anywhere, I would say 6 to 7 hours at best on this. So not really great battery life, but then again, AMOLED display, a lot of power on the hood, small chassis, a very interesting combination indeed. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. Comes in cheaper than the XPS 15 as all decked out. This is about $1,800 or so plus tax here in the state of Nevada, whereas an equivalent with the Dell XPS 15 9510 is about $400 more, about $2,200 or so dollars. So you will save some money going with the HP. And I think the performance so far has been a little bit better. Again, we're gonna do a head-to-head on that. You don't wanna miss it. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.